Come here now, girl.
Hello and welcome to WhatMap, your one-stop shop for everything workshop. I'm BonBonB and you're very, very welcome. So it's Monday, we are back to the top of the workshop looking at the top performing maps of the moment. And this is by a true titan of the workshop. Normally an asset creator, you'd certainly recognise their work. And we have actually reviewed one of their maps in the past, way back in episode 260, where they scored a very, very solid 11 stars, and today's map is going to be somewhere in that range as well. It's a take on a real-life location. It's a very accurate take on that real-life location. If you're looking to do a German build, a real-life build, you could do a lot worse than to take on this map. And real-life locations, they're a niche, but they're a good niche and I'm really glad to see them. That's right, liking niches is a really good way of liking this channel because I'm a little bit niche too. Thank you very much for your support. Today's map is Bernburg Saale map by Titan. Now hopefully I've got Saale right. According to Google, that is pretty close to the correct pronunciation. Bernburg I'm confident about, and Titan of course is correct. There's your start square. I love the diagonal route of the river right the way through that. That works very nicely for me. And then terrain heights, it's a very flat area. We do have a couple of undulations, but it's quite a flat area, this part of Germany. There's your resources, very usable indeed, really like that as well. And then if we have a look at the fishing, if you've got Sunset Harbour, it is mostly salmon with a few anchovy lakes to play with. Off to the workshop, what do we need? Well, apparently no DLC is required, or is there? I love doing that. I hate doing it as well because it just means something's going to go badly wrong later on. We have also got a nice little write-up, well put together, little bit of prose there by Titan, and a one-click collection as well, which includes the Stray Cats theme, Stray Cats Territory Homecoming. Sorry, I always say theme, not sure why. A good selection of trees as well. We've got the Railway Replacer mod and all the props and bits that go with it. We'll be using the realistic 1.2 LUTs, the unlimited tree mod. There are two versions of this map, an unlimited tree version and a limited tree version. I'm using the unlimited version. So here we are right at the edge of the map. We've got the traffic just finding their way in, which I'm sure you've seen before. Let's turn around and have a look into the map, at which point you will notice that we have got some two-lane highways. These are mass transit two-lane highways, which means you do need mass transit for this map, and if you don't have it, this map will be broken. And sadly, because this isn't declared on the workshop page, it does mean I have to assume that your map will be broken. Sorry. But that's just the way it is, I'm afraid. Now, something that happens to a few of us creators, even on my last map, if you have a little pull back far enough, we've got a little bit of glitching on the road there. I'm not marking the map down for that because there's very little as a creator you can do, apart from to completely rebuild the section. And honestly, this far out in what would be deep fog, I don't think it really matters that much. So nobody's getting marked down for that, unless it's right in the middle. If it's right in the middle of the map, we'll talk about it, okay? Out here, not that worried about it. Like the bridge, like the foliage underneath here is quite low, and I can believe that would get enough light to be able to survive. This guy over here is a bit on the big side, and I'm feeling that he would be struggling somewhat. But again, we are deep in fog, and it's just something to think. If you're putting foliage under these flight, or a bit of blue mantle there, again, deep in fog, don't mind it here. Thank you very much. Prefer it wasn't blue mantle, but yeah, we can let it go. We can let it go a bit. So anyway, we're coming in on the highway of the Autobahn. Autobahn, maybe. Highway. I'm sticking with highway. Motorways and highways I can live with. Autobahns, yeah, okay. That's about as far as I'll stretch. This comes in from Leipzig. Leipzig? Yeah. That's the nearest big city from what I can tell on the map. I recognise it because they've got a football team. We've got some floating foliage here. Problem with non-terrain conforming grasses is they don't conform to the terrain. That's always a little bit of a problem there. And it's, yeah, just sitting there, it hovers. It's not the worst case of of that you're going to see in today's show. But and I'm not going to show you every case of everything, because honestly, the map is better than the amount of errors that I can point out on it. Does that make any sense? I mean, I can point out lots of little, always a bit of elevated grasses here and a bit of elevated grass. Yeah, the map's better than that. And just showing you all of that will put you off the map. Yeah, you can always use a bulldozer to get rid of any bit of foliage that you don't like. But of course, I have to mark what I see and report what I see. And so some things I'll be skipping over and we'll just let go. Like, I'm sure there's some grasses on these banks here. Probably. Possibly. Maybe. What I'm going to call it is Schrodinger's grasses. If we don't get close enough, then they are both there and not there in equal measures. And I don't mind this because there aren't many people that are going to be coming in really this close to the highway to have a screenshot of this part of the highway. It's when you've got these grasses hovering in a key location, a landmark location, that's where you will question and have to start knocking stars off for detailing. That might be a spoiler. It might not be a spoiler. Okay, heading into the meat of the map now. You can see it's a very flat map. I would not expect any valleys, canyons or mountains to be plopped in just to make it more spicy, because we are recreating a real life location. Speaking of which, this intersection is spot on. That has been done so well, and I just instantly recognize it from the Google Earth image. If we get down really low and really low, you can just make out a little bit of blue mantle in the middle of that bridge. I would be okay to accept that. It's in the middle and you've got to get stupidly low to be able to see it. And we will see a worse occurrence of blue mantle later on. Also, the only place on the map you're going to see this, a bit of encroaching foliage on the highway networks, is right here. Again, one click of the bulldozer will get rid of that. Little bit of glitching on the side of the road there. Again, we will see one occurrence of it worse than that, so I'm not really going to mention it at this location because we'll be just talking about the same thing twice. Anyway, something new to talk about will be stress lines on the road. Stress lines where bridges are. If I just come across this bridge, spin it around, you'll see how we've got the little dark shade line there. That's normally a clue there might be some blue mantle underneath. Now, while there's no blue mantle, you can see actually the little bit of glitching on the road at the side. So that is something to just watch out for when you're making your road maps. And this one's much darker, which means almost certainly blue mantle. Big swathe of blue mantle there. And so, yeah, that's one for fixing. Now, if you don't know how to go about fixing blue mantle, I do have a tutorial on the channel. Not going to link it in, just head to my channel page and search for blue mantle and it will show you several ways of preventing it. Now, we've got a little bit of road glitching going on here where it's been pushed to the limit. Now, there are many solutions to road glitching. And I'm not going to show you any of them today because we have spoken about them multiple times in the past. I'm sure we will talk about them multiple times in the future. Not the full package of solutions for the map maker, of course, because when you're in game you have a larger package of mods and things like that to be able to deal with these things. But some of them are dealable with in the map editor. Right, before we head into the start square proper, we do have a bridge here, which is just a little bit low. It's not actually touching the water, but I feel it could come up just a couple of taps of the page up button just to elevate that a little bit higher over the water, because it doesn't look like it's the high water mark. But it does look like we're in the start square, which means we have an asset of the day. This one is from one of those new creators that's making a bit of a splash. It's Pekora and 31 Building. Now, I don't know, I've not read the workshop page. I don't have time to read everything, or if I do, remember everything. But all I can say is it's a magnificent building, and it's not a surprise that they are getting noticed on the workshop. And we'll do factoids, because factoids. On this very day, the 13th of July in 1798, William Wordsworth wrote his famous Lines Composed a Few Miles Above Tintern Abbey. During his 7 years as poet laureate later in his life, he didn't write any poetry at all. William Wordsworth wrote those lines this day in 1798. So anyway, yes, poetry. It'll work. I'd be a good poet if I didn't have to rhyme every second line. I just know poetry doesn't have to. I feel it has to. And that makes me a crap poet. Anyway, 31 building by Pekora. I'd say it's good, and so does Blinking Nora. Hey, lovely. Well done. That was inspired, and why I'm not Poet Laureate. We have, back to the highways. Now, these are national roads. We have national roads away from the highways, because that's what they're like in our real life. And we've got, because of that, we've got a junction here, and it leads off to the edge of the map. So that junction is going to get a bit busy when you start building your city. If you're playing the 9-tile rule without any mods, just bear that one in mind. Now, railways. Railway replacer mod. I've said it before, and I'll have to say it every time we use it because I struggle with it. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. I don't have time, for the sake of a review, to completely learn the mod, but I would have thought it would be a simple case of installing the mod, opening up the menu, and choosing whatever catenary you need. But when I opened up the menu, I've got some encroaching foliage in the wires there, and not last time you'll see that one. But yeah, when I open up the menu, there's only the option for thin wires, so I chose the thin wires. I've also tried, and this is really low and through the catenary wires here as well. Yeah, anyway, I was saying I've also tried the catenary replacer mod alongside the railway replacer mod. I tried it first of all without, another encroaching tree there. I tried it at first without because it wasn't listed as a requirement, and so went without, and we didn't get any portals. And then I went with it, and well, chose the German catenaries because that is what we're supposed to be using, and it's just not there either. I have enabled all of the mods, all of the assets. I don't know what's going on. Now, a few of you might look at this and go, well, clearly what you're doing wrong, BonBonB, is this. And if you were to read the Railway Replacer mod page, yes, absolutely, totally 100% agree to you. Ability to read is everything. That said, I use this mod once in the blue moon. Very few maps need them, and so need this particular mod. And so to work out what's going on, I mean, it could take me quite some time, and I just don't have the time to learn a mod for a quick 5-minute flyover. So anyway, what I'm saying is apologies to Titan for ruining your rail network, which is actually really nicely well done. Got no grumbles with it whatsoever. Apologies to Ronix for not showcasing your mod to the best, because I've seen loads of screenshots and it looks freaking amazing. So yeah, and apologies to anybody watching the show who wants to see the Railway Replacer mod in all its glory. I just don't understand. I think there's possibly some blue mantle under the rail there, because there's a dark line on the rail line there as well. But we'll just skip over it. Anyway, so yeah, apologies for all of those things, but yeah, I don't think I'm ever going to get a grip of the Railway Replacer mod. It's not intuitive to me, and I just haven't got the time to sit down and work out what is going on with it. I'd rather be reviewing tomorrow's map instead and getting ahead on the week. But anyway, we are now heading off towards the edge of the map. The rail is superb, is sublime, but we do have some encroaching trees. There are supposed to be catenary wires, and we definitely have trees leaning into the wire every here and there, like there, definitely, and there's one there as well, and probably there maybe, and so forth. Anyway, we'll come back after the intermission. We'll have a look at the shipping and everything else.
Have you never quite worked out how to use Ploppable Rico? And what the heck is Ploppable Rico anyway? Then you need the Beginner's Guide to Ploppable Rico by BonBonB. Click the information button below.
And so back to Bernburg, Saale map by Titan. There are no shipping routes, and quite right too. We have a couple of air routes. Leipzig Airport is just off of the map, and you could have yourself a little provincial airport here. Plenty of flat space for it. I have no issues with that at all. But yeah, the rivers are definitely too narrow and too shallow to have any commercial shipping. Speaking of the rivers, let's have a little look at the water flow. Now, the water flow is a little bit light, but I do feel this map is intended to be played as a modder. It's definitely made by a modder, and so I would say, yeah, definitely one. They do have water spawn points along the river though, so it probably would work to a certain size if you were pumping and drawing from it. And there is water flow, it's just a little bit on the light side. So that's the rivers, and they look really good. They look realistic because they're drawn from realism. We have the Oxbow Lakes as well, which looks smashing too. We have these wooded areas, and where they're quite dense, these wooded areas are quite good. I'm buying into these. I think there's a good mix of trees in that woodland there, and I'm liking the tree-lined railway lines as well. Look really quite pucker too. Pucker, good English word, pucker. It means really good, I guess. Okay, down to Start Square now, where we have the slightly low bridge there. Now, the Start Square has this little island. I'm loving the island. I'm loving the vibe of this area, actually. The rock work as well is really nice. I'm loving the river reeds, and the whole area around here just has a nice feel to it, and I would definitely be happy building a city. Now, there lives a castle up on this hill here, which I'm quite glad that Titan hasn't built any marks of a castle in there. I'm quite glad that that's just plain land. But this is key area, and look, we have these grasses hanging off of the cliff at a horizontal angle. So for me, those are an eyesore. Again, easy to get rid of. Now, across the whole of the map, there's some light vegetation, and I don't mind it from a distance. But when you get in close and come down to sort of like ground level kind of area, it just looks silly. It's clearly very light tree brushing as a filler, and again, from a further away, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter at all. It breaks up the boredom of the areas, which is good. But I just feel that the tree mix, given what we have there, just looks a bit silly when we get close in. Now this is officially Europe's largest cheese mine. Now 70% of all the cheese from Germany comes from this cheese mine. It's not cheese. Sorry, not cheese. It's an ore mine. Anyway, they do some digging here. It's not the cheese though. The cheese, there's a big mine in France where they dig up all the cheese. Right, anyway, what do you think of this map? Is it a 1-star map? Is it a 5-star map? Is it somewhere in between? Your vote really does count. We use it at the end of the month for the Viewers' Choice Top 10. Will this be one of the top 10 maps of the month? Only you can decide. Click the I button in the top right hand corner of your screen now, and that'll take you across to the voting page where you can log in really easy and place your vote. So what do I think of the map? Well, aesthetically, it's quite nice. I'm really sold on this one as being a recreation of the area. Very accurate indeed. The thing is, am I feeling the vibe of this being a 4-star map? It just doesn't smack me in the face. There are some 4-star areas, and the accuracy is definitely, well, high 4 stars. But overall, it just feels like a 3-star map. So I've got to go with that. 3 stars for aesthetics. Detailing, very solid, of course, with a few glitchy bits. The few glitchy bits aren't bad enough to bring it down to 2 stars, but they do hold it back from the 4th, so it's a 3 stars for detail. Gameplay potential, I was definitely going 4 stars for this one. It'd be great for a recreation of the area, or pretty much any other gameplay, but the lack of mass transit being declared on the workshop means I have to assume that this game will be broken for you because you don't have it. So it's 1 star for gameplay, but it's really 4. Bernburg Saale map by Titan. That is really good to see. A real life location that is actually accurate to real life and just looks like a map you want to play on. And if you got mass transit, just get on and play. Just go. What are you listening to me for? Go and play it. Anyway, if you're still here, you are in the 20 and out elite. For 100 population points, which you have to track yourself, use the word of the day in the comments and check and comment on other people who have used the word of the day as well. Why not? Why not do that? And I'll see you tomorrow for another map in the What Map series.